guys, and happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back to another episode of Sips and Trips. I'm really excited because this is a family that I've actually spoken to before. We have Justin and Courtney of O Family Adventures joining us, and I love them so much because they are the first family that I've spoken with that is a digital nomad family. And so, unfortunately, tonight, Tania will not be able to join us, but she will be moderating in the comments. So, she will still be communicating with us. And so, just give me 2 seconds to get Tania on, and then we'll have Justin and Courtney join us as well. Make sure it's working. Sorry, you guys know how it is with
Hi, everyone. Hey.
Hi.
Thank you for letting everybody know. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to be able to tune in as part of the conversation, I have an annual show that I attend on the night before Thanksgiving. So if you're in Houston and you've never been out to the Houston Improv to catch the Jive Turkeys, it's one of my favorite things. But I definitely am going to still be tuned in. So I'll be in the comments, tuned in the entire time, and I'm going to stay on so I can meet our guests as well before I hop into the comments.
Before you depart. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add Justin and Courtney on now.
And happy Thanksgiving, everyone. You can tell that we're not on the food committee.
Right. Hi, Justin and Courtney.
Hi, how are y'all?
Hey. It's good to talk to you again. It's been a while.
I know. It's been almost exactly a year. I think last time we spoke, it was like right around Thanksgiving.
Yep. I thought it had been exactly a year.
Yeah.
So I just want to say hello. I'll be in the comments moderating, but I did want to get a chance to meet you guys before I hop into the comments. Jennifer's going to host tonight's live, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Great to meet y'all.
Same.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, oops. 1 second, guys. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm going to add Justin and Courtney back on in 2 seconds. Okay, so sorry, guys. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. Okay, they're back.
Okay.
We're back.
So it's good to talk to you. Justin, this is actually my first time meeting you.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Great to meet you.
Likewise. So can you guys just give us a little bit of an introduction? I told everyone how you are a digital nomad family, and just give everybody a little bit of background on who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So we are the O family. We left the U.S. with our 2 small children almost 2 years ago now. Our youngest was only 10 weeks, and then Xavier was 2 at the time, to travel the world nomadically. So since then, we've spent time living in Brazil, Colombia, Mexico. We were in Europe
Spain,
over the summer.
yeah,
Spain for
Portugal.
a few months.
So yeah, we've been all over, and I can't believe we're coming up on 2 years. Like,
I know, it's nuts.
2022, we made the decision to leave, and here we are.
So how long did it take you guys? Like, one day you had a conversation like, oh, we should do this. And then from the time that you guys were like on the same page, how long did it take?
Not long.
It was quick.
Yeah.
It was real quick. The decision, I think, took the longest to come to that agreement. But once we decided, we kind of just ran with the timing of the pregnancy, because Courtney was pregnant.
Yeah, I was pregnant, and I was like, we gotta go. And Justin was like, what do you mean we gotta go? And I'm like, we got to go. But I think really from like the idea to deciding what we wanted to do to actually doing it was only like 6 months.
Oh, wow. That's not long at all.
Mm.
That's not long
I
at
know.
all. No, because I think about, like, I have two friends and they decided one day, like, we're moving to Australia. And I think that was in 2010. And they left in 2014. And it was really just because the visa process there was like so crazy for them to get a visa to go. I think the visa took them over a year for them to
Oh,
get
wow.
yeah, I don't know if things have changed since then, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
took quite some time
Yeah.
for them to get it. So I'm just like, and those are the only other people that I know that have been like, you know what? We're leaving the US. You guys and them and then them.
Yeah.
um
I think if it would have been like, oh, we're moving to this country in particular, it probably would have taken longer because that's
Yeah.
more of like a commitment. Like once you move there, you're not planning to leave. But
right.
with us, we're traveling, so it's like, oh, we're gonna go here, then we're gonna go there, then we're gonna go here. So we're like, we wanted to do it. We were excited to get started.
Yeah. And we popping around like on tourist visas just gives you a lot of that flexibility
Right.
Yeah.
anyway, right? Because you're like, I'm just here to hang out and visit. And you can kind of suss it out for a few months and leave and come back or go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think an actual like move to like immigrate somewhere different
Yeah.
is like a big,
That's a
big
bigger
lift.
commitment for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where are you guys now?
We're in Atlanta. We're here for the holidays, so we're visiting family we're just trying to decide if we're going to stay through Christmas or just stay till the beginning of December. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're here.
Okay, and what's next for you guys? Like when you leave, are you going back to where you are currently, or are you going back? Are you going elsewhere? Because where when you got to Atlanta, where'd you come from?
We came from
Okay.
Portugal. We came from Spain. We're in
Yeah.
Spain, and then we went to Portugal. We popped over here for the holidays, and then next we're headed to Mexico City, which is super
Oh,
exciting. Which is the last
yes.
place I was when we spoke.
When we talked, yes,
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on our taco dates.
I know we have to. We have to. I
Um,
know you and Xavier both with your tacos and tortillas will just like be an absolute
best
vibe
friends,
together.
besties. Because I'm telling you one thing about my internet nephew, niece and nephew, they're not missing any meals over there.
They're not. They're gonna eat regardless.
So I want to touch on one thing. So I saw a reel that you did a couple months ago, I think, and you said it finally happened. We got robbed. And so was that something that people were saying to you? Like, are you worried about theft or something like that? Like, what prompted you to use that exact caption? Like, it finally happened to us.
You know what? I feel like everyone has a travel story
Mm,
where something comes up missing,
Mhm.
or they get robbed or they're pickpocketed, on like a train or something. And it's just never happened to us. And I think it comes up a lot when we talk about traveling through like Mexico and like Latin America. Like even going to Rio de Janeiro specifically, people are like, be careful, the pickpockets
mhm.
and the crime and the crime. And so it was just a little funny to me, right? That
Okay.
like we finally get something stolen and oh, but we're in Europe. No one ever, you know what I mean? No one
Nobody
is
ever
ever like,
thinks
oh, be
about something.
careful.
Yeah.
Is Spain safe? Like is nothing I've ever heard. Um, so I don't know. In some ways, and to be fair, it's not that serious, right? It's not a passport, it's not a
Hmm.
it's a stroller. I personally assume anyone who steals a stroller really needs a
Right.
stroller. So, you're more than welcome to it. But it just kind of feels like a little bit of a, I don't know, a traveler like rite of passage. It's like, well, something finally came up missing. You know what I mean?
Oh God, please don't let that be a rite of passage. I do not.
Let me
I am
not speak that
terrified.
over you. Let me not speak that over you. But it's so common. So it's just like, wow, it finally happened to us.
So, to get started with our question, which travel destination holds the most sentimental value for you all as parents, and why is it so special?
Mm.
Mm.
Rio or Morocco.
Oh,
That's so
both
hard.
are
Well, you,
amazing.
you do yours and then I'll do mine because I'm still thinking. It's a big question.
Well, for me, it was Rio de
Hmm.
Janeiro, Brazil. Absolutely fell in love with it, and I think it's because I wasn't working. That was a big. I think for me, like so over the past year, I never actually took time off. Like when my kids were born, it was just work, 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 work. Companies typically don't give a whole lot of parental leave for dads, so this year was the first time I actually ever took like a few months off to stay with the kids, and we did it in Rio. And so I got to like just hang out with the kids every day, spend time with them. My daughter took her first steps in Rio. And it was such a family friendly vibe. Like we didn't expect that from Brazil. We just thought, okay, we're gonna go to Brazil, it's gonna be cool, but like it is such a family friendly place, so many kids, so much for the kids to do. So for me, we spent a month there, and that holds the most sentimental value.
Yeah. Rio was gorgeous. They have like playgrounds literally like on the sand, like in the beach. Well, you were just in Rio, so you know the vibe.
Yeah, amazing. I cannot wait to go back. And like you said, everyone was like, the crime, you're going to get pickpocketed. And I'm like, that was the first time I had ever went somewhere and I was scared to go, right? And then I got there, I was like, why didn't you even listen to these people? They probably don't even have a passport.
Yeah, Courtney will tell you, like, the first week, I was like, my head was like on a swivel. I was like nervous to pull my phone out. I was nervous to carry cash. And then you look around and it's like, wait a second. People are out walking their dogs, kids, are out there minding their business. And it's really not that bad.
Not. I had one, not close call, but I was like, you're definitely about to scam me.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, let me just walk away, Okay, so Courtney, what place holds the most sentimental value for you?
I don't know. It's so hard. I think Playa del Carmen probably, just because I think as a family, it's somewhere we've been the most. It's the place where we kind of could first see that like nomadic life could and would work for us. And then also there are just so many memories. So we went back to Playa del Carmen. When was that? Was that July? June, July? Yeah. And the first time we went there, I was pregnant with Whitley. And then we go back and she's over a year. And so we were going to the same places and like taking pictures. And so we have pictures like when I was pregnant, like standing in front of this mural with her and then like holding her in front of the same mural and things like that. So as far as just literal like mushy sentimental value, I think that's probably pretty high on my list just because that city has seen our family in so many different stages. Like when we were still living here and thinking about moving, and then that's where we came back when Whitley was 10 weeks before we went to Guadalajara. And then like, we've just been so many times. We keep coming back. We keep going back. So I think that's probably the one for me.
Did you guys meet Nubia in Playa? From Black and Salon?
Yeah.
We love
I met her there too.
Yeah, we interviewed her for our podcast.
Oh, so we had a good. You guys had a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay,
just launched.
It's fairly new.
Yeah. So the idea behind the podcast is like all the questions that come in from Instagram of like, how do y'all do this? Do you need a remote job to do this? Like, how did you decide on where to go? What do the kids do? Like, we answer all those questions in the podcast, and we interview other people who have found different ways of living abroad as well. So Nubia was one of those people. We interviewed like 5 guests.
Yeah, we just interviewed a lot of people in Playa del Carmen. Fro Family Travels, they're like a British expat family that lives there. We talked to Yoli. She like owns a co-working space.
Okay.
Someone like owns a food truck, like so many different things. And because we have one experience of like traveling and leaving the US and living nomadically and whatever, but like there's so many other people with great like experiences. So we just wanted to take some time to be able to like shed some light on that and show people the plethora of options they have if they do want to get out of the US.
Playa was the first place that I went to when I realized like there are really people who have left the US. Like I ran into Nubia, I think 3 times in one day, right? And so like on the third time that she walked by, I was sitting on a different bench each time I ran into her. And she was like, well, do you want to go get a drink and some dessert or something? And I was like, oh yeah. So we go to this Jamaican spot that was so good. And we find all these other people that have left the US and now live. I'm like, oh wait, this is a real thing. Like I just never knew. Not that I didn't know, I had never met anyone. I didn't realize that there's a huge community of people in Playa del Carmen that have left the US.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real, I think, until you see it, which is part of why like being so visible, I think, is like important to us because people are like, oh, that's a nice fantasy or it's a nice thought or like, different types of people do that, but not people like me. And so I think part of the thing is just like, no, like we're out here and we're thriving. There's community and there's
absolutely.
Like, they're a hub for us. Like, come. I'm trying to recruit everyone. Come.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking. So, what is the most surprising or delicious local dish you've tried during your travels and adventures?
Mm, Senegalese food.
Oh yes. Oh my God.
Senegalese food.
Senegalese food in Spain.
Yeah.
So
In Spain, okay.
yeah, that's the closest we've ever been to Senegal, probably.
Mhm.
Morocco's closer.
But yeah, Spain sits right on top of Africa, and there's a huge population of what would you say, like Senegalese people,
There
Nigerian,
are a lot of West Africans
a
in
lot of West
general, I think.
Africans, and East Africans too.
Mhm.
And so
I
we
never would have
stayed in
thought
this
that.
neighborhood.
Okay, I never would have thought that. In
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spain.
Yeah, we stayed in a neighborhood that was very diverse, and they had like a bunch of Senegalese restaurants. We're like, all right, let's stop eating like the Spanish tapas and let's try some of this African food. And it blew our mind. It was amazing.
Oh my God.
It
You
was
should
so
have
good.
seen your little nephew because the woman set the plate down and he's like, what is this?
Yeah.
And we're like, Zay, just try some. Plate cleared.
Oh,
He
I'm
requests
not
seconds. Seconds
surprised. I'm not
cleared. Like,
surprised.
no
What was the
hesitation.
name of the dish? Do you
Oh no, it was
know?
like a lamb, like a peanut stew with lamb or something.
Stew.
Oh,
It
it was so
was
good. Because I think they use like a different variety of like rice for like the Senegalese food, so it's more of like a short grain.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's delicious. It's delicious. Anyone who's had Senegalese food, it's one of those
Yeah.
things now where I'm like, if you know, you
We've
know.
been bragging about it for months.
Oh yeah, I've been dreaming about it.
Have you ever traveled somewhere just so that you could get a specific dish?
Mm.
And if you could travel, and if you were to do that, what place would you go back to?
I have a very specific answer for you.
Okay.
When I was in college, I did a study abroad in Copenhagen in Denmark.
Uh-huh.
I had squid at this restaurant in the meatpacking district. I've like found it and saved it in my Google Maps. And the second I go back to Copenhagen, that's my first stop. Best squid I've ever had in my life. The seafood there in general, I think blew me away. It was so good. And I'm from Florida. So when I say the seafood blew me away, like the seafood blew me away.
Yeah.
So I'd go back to Copenhagen in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just for that squid.
And Justin, what about you?
Well, we're going back to Mexico City we're leaving Thursday.
Yeah.
So Courtney and I are taking a scouting trip without the kids. We're going down there to look at neighborhoods, apartments, all that kind of stuff. So we don't get much time away from the kids, so we're super excited.
I was going to ask you about date night. I was going to ask you like how you navigate that because I know you guys don't do like babysitters and stuff like that. And so I was definitely going to ask.
So since we're here in Atlanta around family, we're gonna stay with our grandparents, and then but Mexico City is a foodie city. Like all the food we had there was chef's kiss. Like
we had Russian food for the first time.
Yeah, it's really
delicious.
Good. So yeah, we're gonna do a food tour like the first day we get there.
Yeah.
It's like first order of business.
I'm gonna send you a place. It might already be on your list. It's on my list, and I don't know if you follow Little Miss Awkward, but she went there. I think she waited in line for like 2 hours, but she said the food was phenomenal. So I'm gonna send it to you.
Yes,
I can't
please do.
I can't think of the name of the place, but I'm gonna send it to you. But you can get reservations, so you don't have to stand in line for 2 hours. But she went without a reservation. I'm a huge foodie, so I will travel just for food. I flew to Mexico to Isla Holbox just because I wanted this fish that I had at this hotel I went to.
Oh man.
And
I love that.
It was so worth it. I found a flight for $79.
Oh,
and I was like, yeah, we out.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. Some people would say that's ridiculous. I think it's super reasonable.
No.
To get exactly what you want from exactly where you want it, exactly how you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. What's one of the destinations that you visited that provided unexpectedly rich educational experiences for you and your kids?
Educational experiences for us and the kids. Part of
It's in Morocco.
Yeah, I was gonna say Morocco too. I think you have to kind of qualify, like the kids are so little.
Right.
So like everywhere they go, they're like constantly just learning things. But I agree with Morocco.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
What part were you all in?
With Morocco, we were in Marrakesh.
Uh-huh.
we did a tour. We like rode camels and then like hiked through the Atlas Mountains last Christmas, like with the kids. A camel bit me. A camel bit
I was
me.
so mad you
I
booked
got
that
bit by a
tour.
camel too,
You
actually.
got bitten
I
too?
did. I got bit on my thigh by the camel
Yes,
behind me.
yes, that's
Hmm.
exactly what happened. The camel just reached around, was like nibble, nibble,
Yep.
and I'm like, no one else seemed to panic. I panicked. But I think that was interesting because our guide was really fantastic. And so like as we're walking and hiking, he's providing context about like the Berbers and the history and the locals and what the culture is like there. And I think like Moroccan culture, Arab culture specifically, is one where like I know at least I have like the least exposure to, I would say, of the places we go. Like, you know, Europe, right? We're from the US, so you learn all about European history and all of that. And then even like Latin America, I think by proximity, we know like, you know, a good amount about it, but like we just learn so much in Morocco.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Morocco, hands down.
What would you say are like some of the challenges with living as a digital nomad with children?
Hmm.
Um, the lack of childcare. Like, I mean, I think that happens anytime you leave, you know, your hometown, your home city, and you have kids, like you are giving up like proximity to family and close friends.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're touching down in new cities and we don't know anybody sometimes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that lack of like community when you first get there is tough. It's challenging. And then yeah, with kids, I mean, I would say like where you're choosing to stay, right? Like you don't
That's true.
you kind of don't have a home base anymore. So like everywhere you go, if it's an Airbnb, you stay at a hotel, or you know, you even rent a long-term rental, like you have to set that place up for your kids.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
Like we
right.
go into an Airbnb and one of the first things is like, okay, anything breakable, right? Let's do a whole sweep of the place and find somewhere to put it.
yeah.
Or you're in a hotel and it's like, okay, this like phone that like just sits here very casually on the nightstand, it cannot sit there. My children will call people. So like having to rearrange every single place you stay to make sure that it's suitable, not just like for kids, but like for your kids in particular, because some of them,
Yeah.
ours, are a little maybe more mischievous or a little more curious than others. Um, and then yeah, I definitely like +1 to the childcare thing because I think as much as it's like we feel like we need a break from the kids sometimes, I feel like they also need a break from us. Like
Absolutely.
they very much need a break from us. Like they don't just want just us like in their faces all day every day. So I think that's something that's felt by like all four of us is kind of like, you know, I love you. I'm a little tired of looking at you.
Hmm. What tips would you give someone who is looking to, do the same, live all over, about building community and meeting people?
Mm. You have to be so intentional. You have to be so intentional
Hmm.
about it. Um, I think the nice thing is that, like social media makes that really easy. There are so many Facebook groups. You can connect with people ahead of time on Instagram. More people are leaving the US and doing the digital nomad thing and working remote now. So they're like hubs set up. So just
Mhm.
like you can run into Nubia 3 times in Playa del Carmen. And if it's not Nubia, it's going to be someone else because Playa del Carmen's a hub.
Hmm.
So I think like making sure that you're taking advantage of the resources at your disposal to actively get out there, get out of your comfort zone, speak to people, meet people. I'm like really introverted. And every time
Hmm.
I say that, people are like, what? You know? And
No,
I'm like,
I got
man,
the introvert
I
vibe.
know.
I did.
I'm really introverted. But when we get out and my kids, you know, are playing at the playground, like I've got to talk to their parents, you know what I mean? To be able to set up play dates, right,
Hmm.
for the children, or you know, someone invites you out to like eat or for drinks, and you're like, I don't really know, you know, just go. That's part of the whole experience,
Hmm.
I would say, the community building and like
Yeah.
learning to kind of step out of your comfort zone.
And so you mentioned resources. So what resources? I know, like for me, when I travel solo, if I'm like, oh, I kind of want to maybe hang out with someone, I'll go on like the Black Female Solo Travel group on Facebook. What other resources would you suggest for people to try to meet people while abroad?
Like you said, the Facebook groups, they have them for families. Like we found a couple for families in
Mm-hmm.
Playa del Carmen. So if you have kids, There's other mom groups. There's dad groups. Um, and I would say like if you're trying to learn the local language, like we haven't done this yet, but we've also seen like what are those language exchanges in places like Colombia specifically, like where you go, you actually get to meet locals of that city, and you teach them English. They help teach you Spanish. So that's a
Mm.
way to actually learn about the culture and meet locals, not just
Okay.
I think also there are a lot of Facebook groups. I'm sorry, not Facebook. WhatsApp chats.
yeah.
And I feel like
okay.
people, like when you're just in the US or in the US bubble, it's kind of like WhatsApp, like especially if you don't even have family outside of the US. But I think one thing that like I think you knew about WhatsApp before we started traveling. I didn't even know about WhatsApp,
Really?
but I had no idea. They're like WhatsApp. I was like, what's that? They're like, it's like Group Me, and I'm like, what is Group Me?
Wait a minute.
Oh, you
I
didn't have to
know. Were you under?
I had nothing. I'm like, why don't you people just text? And it's a whole thing. But yeah, there are a lot of like WhatsApp groups too. Like I know I'm even still in some from like Guadalajara. I'm in a couple now from like Mexico City. So there are always there's always something there like that, I think.
Have you guys ever experienced anything that really tested your patience as a family while traveling abroad?
Other than the kids.
I mean, yeah, other than the kids and other than like that, I guess the stroller situation was a challenge. But has there been anything else that like really like tested your like problem solving skills or tested your.
How to pay those utilities in Mexico.
Oh my God, paying the utilities in Mexico?
Yeah, or just like there's little things like when you start to stay places longer than like a vacation span of time, like you just deal with little issues. So like in Mexico, we had a long-term lease and we had to pay our own utilities, our own internet, and trying to figure that out, trying to talk to customer service in Spanish with our struggle Spanish.
Right.
Or the fact that, in a lot of countries, things don't get done on your American time.
Oh, and our luggage in Malaga, we needed to have some clothes cleaned because we were on like a 4-week trip through like Spain into Morocco. This was last year. We dropped off an entire suitcase with dirty clothes in it to like go get clean, thinking they can just put the clean clothes in the suitcase, whatever. Our flight leaves, I think like it was the day after tomorrow, we have time. They closed at something random, like 11 a.m. Like they were open in the morning, they just closed. So it's 11 a.m. or like 1 p.m. They did not reopen. It was not like siesta, like they just closed for the day.
They didn't say nothing.
They didn't say anything. Nobody called, nobody rang, no carrier pigeon, nothing.
We missed our whole flight.
We missed the whole flight. And we lost the whole day in Morocco.
We were like, leave the luggage or miss the flight. Know?
Dang,
like
okay, yeah.
So like always the way that you expect them to be done. Because we're in America, if you call someone for plumbing, you expect them there the same day. You call somebody for
the
laundry.
Elevator in Madrid. We were staying somewhere. The elevator in Madrid was broken for like 4 weeks out of like a 6-week stay.
Oh my
And we're on like the 5th floor, and it's Europe, so it's really like the 6th floor. So we're up and down the stairs like every single, and that's what led to the stroller being stolen, is not wanting to lug it up 6 flights of stairs. Yeah, there have been a few things. Nothing like super serious, but enough to just be like agitating, when you're already like not having a good day. It's just like, ugh, now this.
Yeah.
Carrying.
What are like a few things that a family, your must-haves for living nomadically? Like what are like 5 things that you suggest everyone has to have?
Clarity of vision, which I feel like sounds like such a catch-all, but we've really had to define this year like what exactly we're doing, where we want to be, how long we want to be there, and why. So I think it's really dreamy to just pack up your stuff and be like, we're just going to go off traveling. But like, what does that mean? I would also say like you need good quality luggage. Your luggage is going to go through it. Taking like so many more flights than like just the average person's like couple flights a year. Like your luggage is really going to go through it. Invest in the good quality luggage. And then also I think in addition to that, like we use like vacuum sealed bags for our stuff when we travel. So that way anything spills, if the luggage breaks open, if it's exposed to water, mold, bugs, anything like that, like our clothes and our important items are like sealed away and taken
Yeah.
care of.
Um, yeah, I would say like logistically, there's things that make your life easier. So like, we have a Charles Schwab card because it doesn't charge you any like foreign transaction fees, no matter where you are. We have, our international like phone plans, right? So like make sure that you're taking care of the logistical stuff.
You're so practical.
But I know, but honestly,
I'm like, you need a plan, and he's like, cards, phones.
Yeah, you got to take care of you got to have like a checklist. But I think it just depends. There's so much nuance there, so it depends where you're going, what your plans are. Like there are no real hard must-haves. You just need your passport and the willingness to adapt, really.
Yeah, the willingness to.
Right. How do you navigate health insurance?
Health insurance. We're still covered in the U.S. by my job, your job,
My job,
his job, and then abroad we use Safety Wing, which is just kind of like, what do you call it? It's like
digital nomad insurance.
Yeah, it's digital nomad insurance. So it doesn't cover
emergencies.
anything preventative.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for emergency.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cover anything preventative, but if someone breaks their arm or whatever, like we can get health care in like most of the countries.
Yeah, they'll fly you back home too. I think it covers like emergency.
You have like a good plan.
Yeah, flights too. So yeah, check out Safety Wing. They have other nomad insurance as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I never even thought. I mean, it makes sense, but I'm like, oh, nomad insurance, like that's it. That's interesting.
It is. Because a lot of places, like in Mexico, the preventative care is so affordable even without insurance.
Oh yeah.
That like it doesn't make sense, because even the big insurance carriers, even like Cigna and like Anthem, like they have like multi-country international insurance, but it's gonna run you. I think I priced it out for us. It was like $600, $700, $800 a month. Whereas in Mexico though, like $600, $700, $800 a month, like multiple car notes. But we took Zay to the doctor when we were living in Guadalajara, and even without insurance, his checkup was like $20. So
it's amazing to me how different healthcare is out of the country. My first international trip, I got a concussion and sprained my wrist, and I'll share the video if you guys want to see it because it was on camera. But I was so scared because everyone was like, oh, you should make sure you get travel insurance. And I was like, I already don't have any money. I'm not spending money on that. And then I got hurt and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for it, but it was free. I didn't have to pay anything. Yeah. And like, I was amazed because I was in Australia and Australia has free healthcare. So it was like, I was like, oh, thank you, God. And then after that, I was like, yeah, make sure you have like, medical coverage for when you're traveling, because you just never know. But it's amazing to me. Like, I've been to countries where if something happens, it would be super cheap. But I also went to Antigua and got sick, and just to get Tylenol, they were going to charge me $250.
Wow.
Oh my God. $250?
$250 just to get a Tylenol. Yeah.
No, that's
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. I'd have to thug it out. That's a lot.
Oh, I thugged it out. Yeah. And then luckily I found someone. A good Samaritan gave me like something. It was like a BC powder or something like that. But at the resort we were staying at, or the hotel we were staying at, the medic unit was $250 just for.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me how different health insurance is everywhere. So what else? Give us a hidden gem or a hidden gem destination that you found on your journeys. It doesn't necessarily have to be when you guys were as nomads, but like period throughout your entire travel life.
You know what? I have mine and you're going to disagree.
What?
But that's fine. I think Bogota gets a bad rep. I think people haven't given Bogota a chance. I love Bogota. I feel great in Bogota. I feel like it's gorgeous. I like the climate. I don't mind the gray. The fall weather is nice. You have silk press season all year round.
Silk press
I
season.
think it's silk press season. I mean, it can get a little rainy, but like outside of that, it's not too hot. Like there aren't any bugs. I think Bogota is somewhere that really deserves more appreciation. And I feel like people talk bad about it, like Justin here likes to talk bad about Bogota. I loved it though.
Yeah. Sorry.
He's so shady, like. Okay, so what's yours, Justin?
Honestly, I don't have major cities, and that's one thing we want to do more is like find the hidden gems. Sayulita was cool.
We got the worst food poisoning of our lives in Sayulita, and I can't get over it.
Yeah.
Our accommodation was nice, but we were sick as dogs.
Yeah, other than that, like I can't think of, like y'all have heard of all the places we've been to.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say, I think as far as like hidden gems and locations go, trying out places you thought you didn't like again and staying in a different neighborhood. I think that's one thing we learned from going to Madrid. I've been to Madrid twice. This is the third time I've been there. And I was almost convinced that Madrid was a flyover city. I'm like, I've seen it. I've been twice. I wasn't impressed. I don't get the hype. I never need to go again. We went this time. I was in love.
So
like
what
he had
was
to drag me from Madrid kicking and screaming.
What was different this time?
Where we stayed. So this time we stayed in the La Latina neighborhood and we were in Lavapiés a lot. So we were just in like a whole different pocket, which is like younger and hipper and like gayer and like more fun and just like a better like vibe, more diverse as well. Whereas before, I think we're in like Salamanca. We're in like the business and like finance district. So it felt very like stuffy and, you know, all the buildings were just big and cold and there wasn't a lot of like character or like charm to it. So I would definitely say as far as like that goes, like if you've been somewhere, maybe it's been a while or maybe you weren't there for like more than a couple days and didn't get to explore the city, like don't be afraid to like go back, just stay in a different neighborhood and see if like the whole vibe is different. Because that was definitely my experience with Madrid. Also the weather. If you go somewhere and it's chilly, go back when it's warm. Like the whole vibe is different. You know what I mean? It's just better. So I would say not writing off cities that you don't think you love like instantly.
Oh, I do have another city or country really. If you're going to the Caribbean, check out Grenada. Grenada in the West Indies, that's where my family is actually from originally. So my dad was born there. My mom's mom was from there. An amazing vacation destination. Check out Grenada. It is safe.
You're not biased at all, though.
Check out the entire island. Go see my uncle. He owns now. But no, Grenada is a must-see Caribbean city, and it's not as touristy as like a lot of the others. You know, Jamaica, Antigua, stuff like that.
I still have to go.
I know, we gotta go.
You hear this, man? He hasn't brought me.
He's telling everybody else to go.
We're going to go. We're going to
You
go.
promise?
Yeah.
I'm saying it in front of people. It's gotta come true.
And we're holding you to it.
I'm ready.
Oh, I've always wanted to go to Dominica. We have yours truly, Yelisa, that says she's from Dominica, but she's going to Grenada next month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Enjoy Grenada.
I've
I want to
always.
see every single island. I want to see every single island.
Is there a destination that is not on your list? I have one place that I have absolutely no interest in going. Do you have any place that you have no interest in going?
I mean,
You know which place.
I mean,
there's a war going on
present,
right now. So at the present.
Yeah, at present, I think the only places where it's like I never need to go there are probably just places where there's like ongoing like socio-political issues. You know what I mean?
And unrest,
But even then I'm like
I'm not going to.
I said this the other day, I'm like, flights might be cheap because it's not like there's a lot of tourism.
You can go to Tel Aviv if you want to.
I know, it's such a thing. Yeah, there's like, other than outside of like ethical and like literal safety qualms, I don't think there's anywhere I just don't want to go. I would say like visiting Antarctica. I know some people want to hit like all 7 continents. I don't like the cold. I do like the cruise though,
Yeah,
but
I
I have to
wanted
know
to do that. I don't
Antarctica.
know if you guys know Marty San Diego,
Mhm.
but she showed like she did a cruise to Antarctica, and then she like got out and showed like this is exactly what you see when you're there. I was like, oh, okay, I could do something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I kind of look at it from the boat, from my heated room, and just kind of like look out the window, wave at the penguins, and keep it pushing. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's my only thing.
I think like countries that have limited like, rights for women or, racism for people of color, like I don't know, but I don't have anything specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is your country or city?
I don't want to say country because I feel like it'd be open to other places, but I don't think I ever want to go to Paris. But if the opportunity
Mm.
presented itself, like if there was like a creator trip or something like that, then absolutely I'm not going to turn down the opportunity. But you will never hear me say I am planning a trip to Paris.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We were in Paris, but only for like a 24 hour. We did like a 24-hour layover in Paris. So Justin wants to go back to Paris. He's down for the hype. He liked it. I was kind of like,
Well, we didn't see a whole lot of it, but
yeah,
we had that duck. The food was
that,
hitting.
yeah, the one meal we had
But
was
I
pretty
do think
good.
a lot of those cities, yeah, are overhyped for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I wouldn't go there, but I think they're definitely overhyped. There are other
I don't
countries and
ever
cities.
need to go back to London. That I can say. I don't ever need to go back to London.
That's how I
And I don't think
feel
there's
about
anywhere else
Dominican
in the
Republic.
UK.
What'd you say?
Ooh, really?
That's another one. Yeah, I don't think there's anywhere else, like even in the UK, where I'm like, I'm itching to get there.
Okay. Wait, would you just whisper?
Oh no, I was reading the comments. Someone just said Paris is dirty, and I'm like, yeah, I get
Okay.
that.
Someone said the food is good, but the streets aren't shown on TV. What about okay, what country has the worst food? For me, it's the Netherlands.
The
Really?
I
Netherlands
every you want to know the best thing I ate?
French
French
fries?
fries from Burger King. That was the best thing I
from
ate.
Burger
I
King.
like the food in Amsterdam, but you know what?
It
I
was
don't know
all.
that
It
I've
was
eaten
never.
like Dutch
It was
food.
never their food.
Yeah.
And you know what had the worst food was Aruba,
Yeah.
another
Really?
Dutch
Yep.
I
island.
actually like the food in Aruba.
Ooh.
The Papiamento house was the one place we went. I think there was like the lamb chops were good.
Yeah. You know what it is? I think when you go to these countries and like, Aruba is like a Dutch island, right? So I think a lot of it was like catered to the tourists and they're Dutch. But once we found like someone that used some more seasoning, like we had a
Yeah.
good time.
It was difficult, I think, the whole time we were in Aruba to feel like we were in Aruba. Like we were, how do I want to say it? It's not that the whole island feels like a resort because I feel like that's dismissive to like the people
Dramatic.
that live there and are from there. It's a little dramatic, but I think it was more difficult than other places have been to get um, like an authentic like peek into the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if maybe that's just because we did stay on a resort, even though we had a car. So we ventured off, we saw the whole island, we like explored, but I don't know if we just didn't stay in the right place or if we were just kind of being lazy. We were on like a baby moon. This was like a delayed honeymoon. So maybe we didn't like travel enough and we were just sort of
Okay.
vacationing.
Mhm.
But the whole time we were on Aruba, I kind of just had this feeling of like, what's going on here past the hospitality industry? What's going on past like tourism?
Mm.
And I think part of that probably plays into it. Like even when we did go, we went to places that were like recommended in like the No Madness like Facebook group and everything, and the food was still mid. So I don't know.
One
Maybe we
thing
have
I
to go back.
learned is that a lot. So when we met this guy Danny when we were in Aruba, and Danny was like, everyone gets paid to recommend these places to you. So you have to like really find somebody that's like a true local that's going to like really tell you like the real places to go. And so he took us to the places that were like far away from the resorts and the hotels.
Mm,
And so the best food we experienced the same thing was like stuff was like mid. But then when we met Danny, he was like, "All right, let me take you to this place that's authentic." He went in, talked to the people, and the food was bomb. Like the seasoning was good. The hot sauce was amazing. I wish I could have bottled it up. But after we realized like you can't just go to like the places that the people at like the resort and stuff are recommending you, then we had better luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Maybe we have to go back. Because the beaches in Aruba?
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Did you guys go to Baby Beach? Because that beach is amazing.
We stayed in like a boutique hotel, and their beach was like it was like a mile of
It
beach.
was so
It was crazy.
sand to the
From
water.
the hotel to the actual water felt like a mile.
It
Like
was
half
gorgeous
a mile. It
though.
was a lot of beach, but it was
That
nice.
sand was so soft.
Yeah.
And just lush between your toes. It was so nice.
It's like the water is so beautiful. So someone said in the comments that they had good food in Amsterdam and it wasn't Dutch. I did not eat any Dutch food while I was in Amsterdam, and everything was gross. Yes. Everything was gross. Oh wait, I'm lying. I had the French fries from Burger King. That's really good. But our taxi driver, when we arrived, he was from Turkey, and his family owned a Turkish restaurant. And you could tell his grandmother was in the kitchen because the food was blessed from above. It was so good. But those are the only two things that we had that were good, and we were there for 4 days.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think, I'm trying to think now the food that I did. I had some Surinamese food, and I think there was like some Asian food. Like I did a lot of like wok. It was good. The wok.
Okay. So what's one destination that's still on your family's bucket list?
There's so many.
Yeah, I literally want to see everywhere. I think, we've been trying to finagle and figure out how to spend like a good few months doing sort of like a tour of the African continent.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so I know that's not like a country in particular, but I do think like, starting like in West Africa, maybe going east and heading south or something like that. Just to sort of like hit at least a few of the highlights to see we really just touch different parts of the continent. I want to do that so badly. I think like the coordination and planning that goes into that sort of makes it a little intimidating, but we have to figure out how to do that. That's like top of mind. I think going into 2024 too. Like I have to get there.
Yeah, I would say Africa, like you said, Asia. So like Japan is high on the list. And Southeast Asia we have not done yet. And then I want to see more of Brazil. I loved Rio so much. I want to see more of Brazil for sure.
So if you guys go back to Brazil, I'm going to send you Isabella's contact information. She was our, like, I don't want to say like tour guide, but she pretty much, her team is amazing. Like they really gave us the most authentic experience of Brazil.
Oh yeah. This is in Rio? Were you in Rio or were you other places too?
We were just in Rio, but I think she can set you up for anything in Brazil. Okay. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But we really had a good time. I mean, they did everything from our pickup to our coordinating what clubs we were going to go to at night and staying with us until we were ready to leave the club at night. Like it was every activity we did. I mean, it was great. She even provided snacks when we went to Christ the Redeemer. Like I was like, man, I'm hungry. And she like went into her little magic bag and pulled out a packet of snacks. Like I was just like, you are amazing. She was like, I am a mom. Like she's like, I'm always prepared.
Oh, I feel that. I love that.
Yeah, I'll send you guys her information for if you guys come back. If you could impart one piece of travel wisdom or advice to your children, what would it be based on your collective experiences?
Wow. I think something humanistic related to like making sure that they're focused on immersion and not like country counting.
Yeah. I would say don't form your opinions until you've experienced it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's so easy to see, regurgitate what you see in social media, on the news, from other people, but like you need to go out there and see the world for yourself. And our kids are doing that, but like even without us, as they get older, like do study abroad program, experience life.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely focused on making sure that you're experiencing things for yourself, seeing things with your own eyes, hearing them with your own ears, tasting food with your own tongue. Like you've just got to make sure that the opinions you're forming about the world, and I think even more importantly, the people that inhabit the world are based upon actual experiences that you are like seeking out, making an effort to do so. That's the most important thing.
That's one thing that I notice in our community is that a lot of people turn their noses up at things. And it's like, well, I'm never going to go to Mexico. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do that. And it's like, well, how do you know
Yeah.
if you don't go? Like, even though I was nervous, I was scared to go to Rio. I'm not going to lie. But when I was like, I can't not go just because y'all are saying it. Y'all have never even been there before. Like, let me try it out for myself and I'll form my own opinion.
Mm-hmm. The second I think you start letting people speak fear and or doubt like over your plans, your life, the things that you want to do, you're just giving your power away. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something like Justin and I in our relationship, even before like we started traveling full time, like we had home births with both of the kids. And I remember like telling everyone with our first, like with Xavier, that we were going to have him at home. And it was very much like, oh, and there's like shock and fear and concern. And are you sure? And oh no. And I think at that point, like as a unit, we like kind of just put like this bubble up where it's like, okay, well, we're going to do what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. We love you and really appreciate what you have to say, but like, we're going to move forward based on what we think is best. And I think that's something that we carry into travel and our nomadic lifestyle as well. And I hope that we do a good job of imparting that upon our children.
And I think like as far as safety goes, like cities get a bad rep because of what they used to be. If someone told you, about New York City in the 80s, no one would ever go to New York City because it was like a war zone, East New York or LA or, Detroit or Atlanta, but like places change over time. And so that's why so many people are in Medellin, when it used to be the most dangerous city in the world, right? So
vibing. We were running through Medellin with our kids, vibing.
I was so shocked though, like when people were saying they were going to Medellin, I was like, but is it Medellin like unsafe? And they were like, yeah, back then, but like now, like it's amazing. And I was like, oh, like I don't know. It just took a minute for me to like think about how like a place could redeem itself,
Right.
So I have two more questions. One, how long do you think that you'll do the nomad thing? As the kids get older, will you continue?
I would say I would like to design our life in a way that we can always have the freedom to travel, but I like a base at least. Like, this is where we spend most of our time. This is where the kids go to school because we're not homeschool parents.
They're not homeschool kids.
They're not homeschool kids.
Homeschool mom. They're not homeschool kids.
We tried a little bit of homeschool, like that's not gonna work. So they gotta, education wise, like, I'd love to set up a life to where, we can just like travel for like months at a time.
Yeah.
So in short, I think eventually we'll settle down, but they're so young right now. It's a lot easier to move like that.
I think like being like tri-continental is something that would be cool. I don't know. I'm so non-committal. So even like when we travel around and Justin's like, oh, I could live here. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, what about here? And I'm like, So I think, I don't know. I have a lot more to see before, I personally think I'm willing to kind of like sit down for an extended period of time. But I do think my long-term goal, I'd like to at least have like 3 places where we can kind of bop back and forth between, right? Depending on like season or vibe or whatever.
Right. I asked because there's a family that I follow. They're based in Australia. And they just live all over Australia. And then the mom hosts yoga retreats all over the world. So they pack up and they go, all over the world. But they live in their van. And they said that once the kids got school age, that they weren't going to live in their van anymore. They were going to like actually like find a place. So I was wondering if you guys had the same mindset where you would settle down in one spot once the kids got to a certain age.
Yeah. I'm sure we would. I mean, we like our luxuries,
Maybe like
you
3
know.
spots.
Yeah, we'd love to just like buy, you know, here's our like summer or winter house or summer house or and I
Oh,
think
you're bougie.
yeah,
You're
like
having a
but
winter house?
experiencing like this type of lifestyle, it's like I don't want to go back to just like buying the most expensive house we can afford in Atlanta
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying to travel on like whatever budget you have left. It's like let's design a life where you can have a affordable home but travel anywhere anytime
And
so
strategically placed so that you can easily get to a lot of different places from
yeah
that base. Like when we were in Guadalajara, we were all over Mexico. We were back and forth to Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Sayulita, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico City. And I think it's important to have bases where like there's still so much to explore like in that vicinity.
yeah for sure.
What is something that when you come back to the US, like what's the first thing you have to have that you can't get out of the country?
Grits, crab legs.
Your
Okay,
hair done?
My
remember
hair
you with crab legs. I remember crab legs with you last time.
I'm the same person. Yeah, I think, let's see, non-food related? I don't know. Most of it's food related.
Yeah, it's mostly
Hair
like
products, right?
the wings. Yeah, you're getting your hair done.
And take a trip to Slutty Vegan. I'm constantly craving Tassili's raw kale wraps. Yeah, it's mostly food stuff. Are we big backs?
Listen, if you're a foodie, you're a big bag. Like we're all big bags.
Yeah, it's definitely the food. I mean, because everything else, yeah, you can kind of do on the go, right?
Yeah,
Like
and everything else I can do without even stuff I thought I would miss. I'm like, eh. Even like certain hair products, like I can only get here, but I'll like run out while we're traveling, and then we'll pop back by, and I'm like, I can't wait to get my hands on some Mael. But like truthfully, as time has gone on too, I'm like, my hair is just as adaptable as I am, and this like Brazilian leave-in conditioner that I'm now using over in Portugal is just fine for me. So I think it's mostly just the food stuff.
And my last question is, I should have asked this in the beginning, but how did your families react when you said we out?
Ooh, I mean,
when did we even tell them?
We told them while you were pregnant, and I don't think they believed us because they're like, y'all just bought this house, you're pregnant, like.
They didn't believe it.
They didn't believe it. And then when they saw we were serious, they were like nervous, you know, worried, concerned because we're taking their grandbabies.
And Whitley was so little. She was
so small. Was that scary for you?
No. I think the idea of raising children in the United States is scary to me. But I think like I'm an attachment mother, so I'm like, as long as my kids are with me, as long as they're with us, they're good. So anywhere we are, that's the best place for them, is the mentality that I have. I think our family was kind of like, but I also think, again, after being through like the home birth thing and just a bunch of other like leaps and bounds we've made in our relationship, they were kind of just like, Courtney and your dad even said it at our wedding. He's like, Courtney and Justin are going to do what Courtney and Justin are going to do, and that just is what that is. And they came around and they came to visit us in Mexico and all sorts of things. And my mom was trying to like come down to Rio while we were there, at least thinking about it. So at this point, they're just kind of like, it's an excuse to travel, which is nice.
That is nice. So I just want to say thank you guys for joining us. Instagram is going to cut us off in less than 1 minute. So thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys will join us again. And I'm really excited to see where you guys end up next. And tell us the name of your podcast before we go.
Yes, the podcast is at E.P. podcast. It's Elevated Perspectives podcast on all the platforms.
Okay. It's on all the platforms?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving and good luck on your next trip. Can't wait to see all your content, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Good night, everybody.